Welcome, everyone. Today we're doing a deep dive into The Treasure of Wisdom of the Lake. It's by Joan Doménech Cardenachs, a really, highly regarded Spanish author.
Yes, it's considered one of his most acclaimed works, full of reflection and wisdom. And it starts beautifully, doesn't it?
It really does. It just drops you right there. Beside this lake, you've got Paula and her older teacher after a walk through an oak forest in spring. Very serene.
Mm-hmm. A perfect setting, really, for the question Paula asks. He kind of sets everything in motion.
What was the exact question again?
She asks him, Master, if you had to give me a legacy in words, what would it be?
Right, a legacy in words. And that's exactly what we're getting into today, that legacy. We'll be pulling out the key insights, the wisdom the teacher shares.
Hopefully offering listeners some, timeless ideas for living a fulfilling life. These are really presented as guiding principles.
Okay, so let's start where the teacher starts with life itself. How does he frame it?
Well, it's interesting. He immediately brings it right down to the present moment.
Yeah.
That's the real treasure, he suggests, not worrying about the future or dwelling on the past.
So it's about savoring this moment. The sunrise, a chat, even small wins.
Exactly. He cautions against getting swept away. He says something like, don't let your mind always be pulled elsewhere. Experience what's right here, right now. The richness is in the experience.
It makes you pause, That idea that life isn't measured just by years lived.
Right. He says it's about the intensity of love, the intensity of living in each moment. How fully are you actually in it?
That's a powerful question to ask yourself day to day. How much am I truly inhabiting my life?
And thinking about life that way, well, it naturally leads him to talk about death.
Yes. How does he approach that? Not with fear, I gather.
No, not at all. He frames it as an inevitable part of the journey, like the end of a chapter, maybe even the start of another one. Not something terrifying, but understood.
Like the close of a day's work, I think he calls it.
Something like that, yeah. Or turning the page. He even hints at it being the start of a new and beautiful story.
And he ties this back to living intensely, doesn't he?
He does. It's not about dodging the end. It's about the meaning you create along the way. Your legacy.
So the impact you have, leaving behind love, kindness.
Yeah.
Making a difference.
Precisely. And he offers this comforting idea, too, about living on in the hearts of loved ones. And maybe even a reunion later in a wonderful place.
It really prompts you to think, okay, what legacy do I want to leave? What kind of impact?
Mm-hmm. And that focus on impact, on connection, it flows right into the next big theme. Love.
Which he calls
the most potent force there is. And he means it broadly, not just romance, but family love, love for humanity, that general compassion.
And what's his take on true love? Is it just a feeling?
Not just a feeling. He defines it more as selfless giving, nurturing relationships. It requires patience, understanding, giving without expecting something back right away.
So it's an action, a practice almost.
Yes. He calls it the fabric that binds us, gives life meaning. It really makes you reflect on the different kinds of love active in your own life. How are you tending to them?
That's a good point. And building on love and connection, he then specifically talks about family.
Right. Family as an anchor, he says. A safe harbor, whether that's the family you're born into or the family you choose later on.
He really emphasizes those bonds, the importance of, sticking together.
And forgiveness within the family, definitely. Celebrating joys together, but also, crucially, providing support when times are tough.
That idea of unconditional love from family being an unbreakable treasure, it's a strong image.
It is. And a reminder, maybe, to actively invest in those relationships. Listen to the stories. Create those shared memories. Don't take it for granted.
Okay, so from family, the conversation shifts. What about work?
His view on work is quite nuanced, actually. It shouldn't just be about earning a living, he suggests.
So what else should it be?
Ideally, something that helps you grow. Something that inspires you, maybe, and contributes something positive to the world, even in a small way.
And he warns against
What?
Getting too caught up in ambition.
Yeah, excessive ambition or that constant need for, recognition, applause. He cautions against being consumed by it.
So true success isn't just climbing the ladder.
Not necessarily. True success, according to the teacher, lies more in feeling that sense of purpose. Knowing you're making some kind of difference, feeling fulfilled by what you do.
It prompts another moment of reflection, doesn't it? What is the purpose behind my own work?
Definitely. And then following logically from work and life pressures, he gets into our emotions.
The messy part. What's his advice there?
Well, first, that they're all integral. the good, the bad, the uncomfortable, they're all part of being human. You can't just ignore them.
So don't suppress them.
Right. Allow them to flow. The key is to learn to identify them first. Then try to understand, okay, where is this coming from? And then manage them healthfully.
And he challenges some common ideas about emotions, I recall.
He does. He says, sadness isn't necessarily weakness, and anger isn't automatically strength or power.
That's interesting. So what is strength in his view?
True strength, he suggests, is actually invulnerability, being open, and expressing what you feel honestly, but also, importantly, respectfully.
That's a really insightful way to put it. Honesty with respect.
Exactly. And from emotions, he moves towards the experience of aging.
Another topic people often view negatively. How does he frame it?
Quite positively, actually. Not something to fear, but something to embrace. A natural process. An opportunity, even.
An opportunity for what?
For gaining wisdom, for one. Seeing things from maybe a broader perspective that only comes with time and experience.
And he talks about learning from the young, too, right? It's not just a one-way street.
Absolutely. There's value in that exchange. Appreciating the richness of experience while still valuing fresh perspectives. His advice is basically, keep an active mind, a young heart, and stay curious.
Keep learning, keep engaging. I like that.
And then the final major theme he covers is forgiveness.
Which can be incredibly difficult. How does he present it?
As primarily a gift you give yourself. That's the key insight. It's about freeing your own heart from resentment.
He uses that analogy, doesn't he? About holding on to anger?
Yes. Like grasping a hot coal, you're the one who gets burned. It's such a powerful image.
So forgiving isn't about saying what happened was okay.
No, not at all. He's clear on that. It doesn't mean forgetting or justifying the wrong. It just means accepting that the past happened and choosing to move forward without carrying that burden, that weight.
And he specifically mentions self-forgiveness, too.
Yes, which is often the hardest kind, but just as vital. Letting go of your own past mistakes or regrets. It really makes you think, are there places I need to practice that for myself?
Definitely food for thought there.
So, as we kind of pull all these threads together from the treasure of wisdom of the lake, what really stands out is the simple depth of it all.
Absolutely. It's not overly complicated, but it's profound. The core message seems to be that life is this beautiful, complex journey.
And the teacher's advice boils down to live it authentically, love intensely, forgive generously, keep learning.
Simple advice, but hard to follow sometime.
Very true. And he leaves Paula, and by extension, us, with that really comforting final thought.
Which was?
And above all, remember that I will always be here in your heart. It speaks to that lasting impact of wisdom and of meaningful connections.
A beautiful sentiment. So perhaps the final thought for our listeners today, building on all this.
Yes.
Out of all these principles living in the present, legacy, love, family, purpose, emotions, aging, forgiveness, which one resonates most right now? Which one might you consciously try to cultivate even just a little bit, starting today?